starts out as a photo negative. You guys were upstairs with Tim already. I would imagine he prints all of these for us to use when we make our stencil. Though it's printed on a plasticky type sheet for durability. They call it vellum, I believe, is what they call it. So we put that along with our stencil into a UV light table that exposes it to light, and anything that's black will show up white on our stencil after it's washed. So we expose it, put it in a washing machine that has pressure washer nozzles in it, and it blows out everything that we want to sandblast. Small carvings are done in the machine, big carvings are done in a booth that we pressure wash them out by hand. You just have to pay attention to what you're doing so you don't cause damage to the stencil. We let this hang dry for a minimum of 4 hours. We like to let it sit overnight just so it can stiffen up really, really well. Once it's ready to use, the designers, on your layout, you'll see just the eagle. On the stencil that we get here, it will have this same size box on the stencil itself. So whoever's doing this job, whether it be me, Hunter, whoever, can walk up to the monument, peel that box out, and stick this in there. Measuring, no guesswork. It just goes there. We sometimes do have to make the executive decision to move this. If your stone comes in oversized or undersized, we have to move it to make it look good for your customer. This stencil is about 3 millimeters thick. It's really, really thin. We spray a water-based adhesive on the back of that to get it to adhere to the monument well. We sandblast that with 180 grit sand, which is slightly coarser than baby powder, under about 50 pounds of pressure. So to put that into perspective, the big automatic over there runs anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds of pressure and uses a combination grit, a 30, 60, and 80 grit, which is like real coarse beach sand to do all of the deep carving. All of this is carved by hand. There's not a machine that can do this because you have to pay attention to what you're doing, and you have to carve wide lines slightly deeper than the shallow lines. If you go over the small details too much, you'll blow them out. So it'll go from looking like an eagle's wing to a butterfly wing in very, very quick, if you're not paying attention. And we spray it with highlight to give it really good contrast, and remove this stencil with a razor blade, just scraped off like a sticker, basically. I know you guys with the Mungs use this a lot.
A lot.
We also switched to doing the large majority of our bases, regardless of color, in PGC. Just from a manufacturing standpoint, it's tremendously faster. In the big automatic, we can only do one base at a time just because of the overspray. In the PGC booth, we can stack these up and do 3 or 4 at a time. So from a manufacturing standpoint, it's tremendously faster. And it still holds up just as well as the deeper carving does on a base. And yeah. When I started working here like 15 years ago, PGC was in its infancy then. It was basically a glorified double process carving. It's slightly more detail. The design team has pushed this and pushed this and pushed this to its limits. Like, this is about as detailed as you're going to get with PGC. If you want any more detail than this, you have to switch to laser. We also do have the ability to do dot photos, they're called, which is an actual sandblasted photo in the monument that has relatively good detail. It's like halfway between PGC and a laser. Same process, same sand, same air pressure, just really tiny dots of varying sizes that give color contrast in the photo. We do have the ability to do this in the field as well. Your customer wants to add an eagle or a dog or whatever in PGC to their monument, we can do it in the cemetery, but through my own choice, because I'm the one that does it, cemetery lettering, it's small stuff. Dog's head, car, whatever. If it's bigger than that, we're going to pick it up and do it in the plant. Re-highlighting stuff, we talked about that in the designers meeting. Small stuff like this, no problem. I'll do it in the cemetery without an issue. Big stuff, then again, pick it up, refinish it in the plant. That's just for the best result for your customer. I know picking it up has added costs in it, but the longevity of it, your customers are going to be so much happier if we pick it up.
Do you run into a lot of hassles with cemeteries as far as taking something out of the cemetery?
Most of the time, no. There was one cemetery that I had to deal with down in the St. Cloud area where you couldn't read the stone anymore because the carvings were super, super shallow. We wanted to pick the marker up, bring it back, and re-engrave it deeper They absolutely would not let us pull that 2x1 marker out of the ground.
Concrete around it?
Nope, just sunk in the sod. Like our truck driver just went to get it because usually it's not an issue. He pulled it out and they threatened to sue him if he didn't put it back. So then I had to go out there and mess around with it for 5 hours.